Hello everybody, welcome to ScottyDGaming. I'm Scotty D and today is my review of Die Young. Light it up! Die Young is a first-person adventure exploration game with platforming and light survival mechanics. I had a lot of fun with it, and it really felt like an adventure which very few games successfully pull off. The intro is short and sweet. You're a party girl that loves smashing back drinks and dusting lines. You and your group of friends find out about an exotic island from your dealer, and once you get there, you're kidnapped and thrown down a well to die. Your goal is to escape the island by any means necessary, simple as that. I love this concept because it leaves you with many questions like who has done this and why. Over the course of the 18 to 20 hour game, you'll find the answers along with some twisted events that really piqued my curiosity for the gruesome and sick. This game gives me hostile horror movie vibes, so don't be surprised when you find some dismembered bodies or a nippleless titty or two. Yay. There's two difficulty settings, adventure and survival mode. Just be warned that even on survival mode, this isn't a survival game. The only things you have to manage here is your health and hydration. The difference between the two modes is simply the difficulty and how hard the enemies are. This was perfect for me because I don't really enjoy survival aspects in games. I'm only here for the adventure, and what an adventure it is. The gameplay is predominantly exploration and platforming, but you'll also be using stealth and melee combat depending on the situation. There's loads of climbing puzzles here that are quite similar to Mirror's Edge or the towers from Far Cry, with the coloured ledges that you can grab. Although in Die Young they feel less scripted and give you a lot more freedom, and also the freedom to fail. Some of these platforming sections do involve skill jumps and can't just be done on autopilot, which is a refreshing change. It's the highlight of the game for me, adding verticality to everything you do and giving you that sense of freedom. Climbing to the top of a mountain and looking down at the whole island made my balls tingle. I absolutely loved it. The exploration is what will keep you motivated and wanting more. The island is beautiful and holds so many mysteries. Stunning sunflower fields, maze-like cliffs, luscious beaches and ruins, all with their own stories to tell. Everywhere you go, you'll find little notes that give clues and a bit of backstory on what's happening and where you could possibly look next. You're often rewarded with valuable equipment for exploring these areas, so it is worthwhile. This is one of the few games where I took the time to read any notes that I found because they were relevant and interesting to my immediate task at hand. For example, there's one part where you can't progress past a big gate without a key, but if you read one of the notes in the area, you'll discover that somebody stole it and ran away. This gives you a lead and an idea of where to look next. You will have to fight eventually, whether it's killing little baby foxes so you can use their face to make a new bag, or killing your kidnappers, but the melee combat is pretty basic. There's not much feedback, you can swing your weapon until your stamina runs out, and you can dodge by pressing a direction and jump at the same time. But I never needed to use a dodge except for two specific moments, and that's because I discovered that if you just distance yourself at the maximum range your weapon reaches, then your opponent can't hit you and you can just bludgeon them to death without any risk. It's pretty broken, but you do get access to a crossbow at about halfway through the game. The shooting is alright, but it's no shooter, it's just another option to kill someone. And finally the stealth. It's just as basic as the combat. When you crouch, you're less likely to be seen, and your visibility is further decreased if you hide in long grass. You're pretty much invisible in the grass, but be warned, if you do get seen, expect to run for your life. At least in the beginning anyway, because these guys are determined. I was chased by a crazy scythe-wielding maniac across the map. He just wouldn't give up. I couldn't get rid of him, and for a big fella, he was pretty fucking fast. It's moments like this, though, that made me feel immersed and terrified, really driving home how dangerous a situation I was in. I do just want to make a note here though, is that even though the stealth and the combat is pretty basic, it works, it's fully functional, and I had no issues with them. Die Young has a crafting system, and it can all be done from within the player inventory, which is my preferred method, because travelling backwards and forwards from a workbench is not my idea of fun. On your travels, you're going to come across raw materials such as string, wood, metal, and plants. All of these can be used to craft different items. The most important ones being health kits, knives, and inventory upgrades. You'll discover more items and tools to craft once you find them on the island. It's a straightforward system that works, and I enjoy it. The island in Die Young is absolutely lush. It looks amazing and has some really nice little touches. And one of those standout touches are the ambient sounds of the areas that you're in. For example, when climbing along a cliff on a beach, you can hear the sounds of the waves and the seagulls along with the wind in your hair. If you're in a field, you can hear the sounds of the grasshoppers chirping. It's really immersive. The island feels alive. It's so tranquil and peaceful at times, which is in great contrast to the dangers that you're actually in. I had fun just being on the island, taking in the sights. Of course, there are some issues that I didn't like. The biggest one being the loading times. Oh my god, the loading times. When you die or load a save game, you'll be awarded the longest loading screen in the history of gaming. They'll range from 2 to 3 minutes every single time. It's like the whole game has to load up from scratch. This can be so frustrating when trying to make a difficult jump, and at times I spent more time in the loading screen than actually completing the task at hand. In defense though, once the game is loaded, the world is seamless and has no further loading screens, but they need to do something about how the game is stored and loaded from a save game. There's 2 boss battles in the game. One is fun and the other one is a big pile of dog shit. The game's combat mechanics aren't the best, as we've already discussed, so combine that with lots of enemies, some with seemingly X-ray vision and homing bullets, and add a huge juggernaut of a boss into the mix. With a ridiculous health bar, incredible speed and damage, you've got yourself a whole load of not fun. I went into this battle kitted up to the nines. I was like Rambo, inventory full of Molotov cocktails, arrows, and the best melee weapons. But after using all of my arrows and Molotovs, the boss still had half his health. It was a joke. Terrible. Not common enough to be a major issue, but a couple of times I got stuck in the scenery and had to load the game and endure the ridiculous loading time. Funnily, one of those times was on the boss we've just talked about, when I was about to win and then I got stuck on a tree and couldn't move. Imagine the frustration. There's some big brutal enemies that you'll avoid early on in the game, but when I came back to them later at the end, when I was kitted up like Rambo, looking to murder them horrifically, they disappeared from the game, robbing me of my revenge, which I was pretty upset about. Now remember when I said I enjoyed reading the notes? Well, I do, but there is a problem with some of them. They'll come in different formats. Some will be typed up, some of them will be in handwriting, and the problem I've got is the ones that are in handwriting, because I found it very difficult to read some of them, and the game doesn't provide you a typed up translation of what the note is like I've seen in some other games. It would be really nice if they did implement that so people could read the notes easier. And the last minor issue is with the sounds and music. Not that they're bad, because I love them, but it will stop and start abruptly, sometimes disappearing altogether, leaving you in an eerily quiet world. It's pretty strange. Luckily though, these issues are a very small part of the overall experience, and it didn't really affect my enjoyment of the game at all. Just a few frustrating moments. Die Young is a top tier indie game. It's only 20 quid, which is excellent value for money considering what you're getting, and it feels like an adventure holiday, saving you the plane tickets. What more could you want? Go and give it a shot.